You've landed at the 13 Moons Women's Temple podcast with your hosts, Sam and Leela.
On the astrological stage right now, one of the biggest events that's occurring is what's called the Venus Gateway. And this isn't in your manual anyway. So this is like a transmission. The Venus gateways, we might have talked about this a little bit last month. They occur over an 18-month cycle. The new cycle began 4 moons ago. A Venus gateway occurs when the waning balsamic moon, which means the light is disappearing from the moon. Does everyone understand that? We're heading towards the new moon. And about 4 days before the new moon, at about 5 a.m. in the morning, the moon is a sliver of light in the eastern sky. And you see it only at about 4:30 to 5:30 a.m. in the morning. And about 4 days before the new moon, the star Venus is the morning star, and she's sitting there right next to the moon. And it's the most exquisite thing to see if the sky is clear. Yeah. When that happens, that's called a Venus gateway, because Venus is in relationship to the moon. And Venus and the moon, these are what we call the Venusian light codes for the divine feminine for women. Venus is a very feminine planet. She governs the passion, that zest for life, that feminine quality of your unique femininity. And the moon is the female ebb and flow. And, excuse me. So 4 months ago, this new cycle started, and every new moon, there is a new Venus gateway. This occurred on Friday morning, yesterday morning. And when the cycle started, it activated firstly the crown chakra, then the next moon cycle, it activated the third eye chakra, then the next moon cycle, the throat, then the next one, the heart, and then yesterday's Venus gateway is activating the solar plexus. There are 2 more Venus gateways before Venus disappears. She won't appear on that morning skyline for 3 days, and then she will return as the evening star for 8 months, and then we start the new Venus gateways for 8 months after that. Does that kind of make sense? And all in all, around about, it makes up an 18-month cycle. What's really cool is that if you were to track and trace, and we can find a video of this, but if you trace the way that Venus moves, it makes a 5-star flower. And every pentacle of the flower is a new cycle. Or is it a 7-star? No, it's a 5-star, because it's the symbol of the witch.
That's right.
And in pagan times, it was the women that cultivated this relationship to Venus, and the way she moved, they were, classified as the witches. Over 18 months. And over 18 months, you get 1 point, and the next 18 months, you get the next point. So this concept and understanding of the way that Venus moves is very much a part of the sacred feminine wisdom of the cycles of nature that has been lost, that is having a massive resurgence and quite a renaissance. And what's interesting about the fact that we're talking about this today is, so this particular Venus gateway is activating the solar plexus, which is your individual will, your personal power. Yeah, it's your seat of personal power. It's your strength for boundaries. It's the place where you say yes with conviction and no with equal conviction. where your actions come from a knowing that this is true and correct for you, where you're not responding out of anger, you're not responding out of fear, you're not responding out of apathy. You're coming from a place of going, I am good, no regrets. And that is being activated right now. Now, what's also occurring, and just take this or leave it, but this is Venus and the moon are currently in the sign of Aries. So if you were to look at the night sky, you would see the moon there and you'd see the morning star there. And if you were able to see the constellation, they would be sitting in the constellation of Aries is behind them. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we say that they're in the sign of Aries. Now that means that the relationship that Venus and the moon is having is infused with what Aries stands for. And you can there's a very brief example here on 206. Aries is that, well, we should know it because we've come through Aries. We started this training in Aries. It's that initiator. It's that energetic, positive, I am going for this. I am doing it. Like, I am take no prisoners. I know.
A little bit naively.
Yes, it is. It is youthful. Yeah, there is that youthful enthusiasm about Aries. But what's occurring there is that this activation in your solar plexus is asking you, where is it? It's giving you the courage. You should maybe start to be able to tap into this a little bit. Where have I perhaps lost my power? Where have I let my personal power go over my lifetime? Maybe it started, maybe it occurred to you when you were a baby. Maybe it was in early childhood education. Maybe it was a teacher. Maybe it was the kid that sat next to you. Maybe it was in high school. Maybe it was a relationship with your mother. Maybe it was your first partner. Where in your lifetime have you let your personal power go in order to please somebody else, in order to make somebody else happy, in order to keep the peace? You've let a piece of yourself go. And what's occurring is Aries is activating us right now and giving us the opportunity to go into that courage to go, it's time to reclaim that for myself. Yeah. The other important element about this, and again, take it or leave it, is there is a relationship to, so Aries and Venus and the moon are sitting together in Aries. And there's what's called a square occurring to Pluto. So the planet Pluto is also in relationship to what's occurring. Now, Pluto is the underworld. It's the farthest out planet in our solar system. And Pluto represents that which is ancient, that which comes from the underground, that which is very transformational. It's the planet of death and transformation. And so what's also occurring is that because it is in relationship to what's occurring in this gateway, we're also being asked to recognize, where is it on a collective mass scale have we lost our power? And it's a Venusian theme, so it's, where has the sacred feminine been lost? And what's my experience of that? And perhaps what is it that I can find the courage to step into to reclaim the feminine on a mass consciousness scale? And in that, we're looking over the timelines, what's occurred to women over thousands of years that we've inherited. And I was thinking about this on the drive in this morning, and I just thought, do you know what? The fact that we've just voted so many women into our government is so Venusian. Like, this is a real theme of this Venus gateway, is this, like, we are actually reclaiming a balance of power. It's slow and it's very tedious, but it's happening. And I just thought, wow, isn't that just so exquisite that we can see it starting to really play out. One of the other major themes that we'll just sort of throw in there is if you're interested in this and you think, wow, how could I really start to work on this? An element of it is, what is your relationship to your mother? And if you are a mother and you have a daughter, what is the relationship there? How is the balance of power in these relationships? How is the power, or how has the power played out between you and your mother? Or if you have a daughter, how are you consciously making sure that you're not taking her power and actually helping her to be empowered in this society, in this culture that we live in? So yeah, I'll just leave that there.
I think as well, that she says in the manual, but Pluto is also, it's about obsession. It's also about addictions. I think that's really important to recognize. So that aspect is going to highlight those areas that have addictive patterns and have that tendency, which I think is when we're in our shadow aspect, or looking in the shadow aspect, or certainly as we're going on that downward journey of the Venus gateway, there will be that pulling up of this shadow aspect in us. So where am I obsessional or addictive or dropping back into patterns? So noticing when those are rearing. That's quite a common theme right now, right? This last week we'll have had a resurgence of a desire to do some patterns which don't serve you. And I think, that's the humanness. It's okay for that to be occurring. If you have an awareness of it, then that's a whole heap of difference to just blindly doing it. But it's natural to notice that and to find yourself being drawn and to even go down that path of the shadow. Like sometimes we have to, regress to move forward. So sometimes there, in healing, there is a regression before we can take some steps forward. And the regression allows us to have an experience of ourselves as that, which allows for the healing. A bit like if we, in regressional therapy, we're thinking about going back to that place, dealing with the child within, giving that healing to that part of us that needs it. So when we do think about this, that's what we can be doing. So sometimes we will go back, but when we're in it and we recognize it, that's when we can actually really move forward. So just be aware of that. And then the other thing that really struck me about this, so those of you that do meditation with me, you'll know I came in on Thursday going, oh, it's a Venus gateway, because I could see it. And it was really beautiful for me because I've been following this and it's very new to me. I haven't followed this before. And so this is a new concept for me, but because I'm getting up, I'm seeing the morning sky every morning, I'm getting very used to it. So that's why I always mention it. I mention the days of the week, I mention what the moon's doing, because I want you to be thinking the same way. And so for me, I was like, oh, it's so exciting, and ran in and Googled if I was right. And I was like, I was right. It's so cool. It's like, it's on the 26th, that's today. And you know what I mean? And I guess it's like maybe, how in astrology we have this kind of one, Australia is like maybe behind. I don't really know how that works. But also I think it could be that the Venus gateway occurs on the Venus day, which is the Friday. But it said on the computer it was the 26th. But, for me it was also that in the sky, and what I shared with those that heard me was, there's also Jupiter there. There's also Saturn there. Jupiter for expansion, Saturn for discipline and the aspects that it brings in. And there's also aspects we can't see there, like Mars is there. Okay, so Mars is in that sky, and Mars is, the god of war. And also there is Chiron. So Mars and Chiron can't be seen, but they're there. And what I was saying is Chiron is the wounded healer. So in this, there is an aspect of us receiving healing to that which we're not even aware we're receiving healing to. So it's a healing underneath occurring. And I think that, we are at a stage, and those of you that did listen to some of those recordings that I put up, from Pam, good old Pam, love her, I feel like I know her. I'm going to have to message her and say, we need to meet. But she, I was saying to Leela that one of the things that I love is, when we can look at it in exactly this way that Leela's just talking about, but we must also be aware that these aspects are incredibly war-inducing. There is a huge, and we can see that in our world right now, all the things that happened, or what happened in America this week, tragically, that type of thing where, you know, someone who feels so powerless that they think that it will give them something to take other people's lives. You know, it's this shift of power within ourselves that we need to address. And so if we feel powerless, we sometimes can do things that mean that we take the power away from someone else to give us a perceived concept of being in control. But of course, that does not give us control. It just shows that we are actually, you know, and we've all been there, you know, when you've had a falling out with one of your children and you do something that you just go, whoa, that was just something, I don't even know where that came from. And, you know, or with a partner, we only do it with those we deeply love, unless we're someone who has other things going on in their life and we do extreme things, but we tend to go that real below level. And in that moment, we can have that feeling of, right, I've just said something, I've taken back power, but actually we've just demonstrated our absolute weaknesses. And so I think that's really important to note, that right now there is a lot of war aspecting coming. And a bit like I was saying, we've got the goddess of war and the god of war just there. And so, as Pam would say, it's actually the point in which we need to really turn to love. We actually have, as women, and this is this, Venusian aspect, we need to take that war aspect and kind of blanket it in as much love as we can. That does not mean we have to be weak, because love can be strong and fierce, but it's different to being destructive. And so it's just really important. It's a lot to deal with. And that's about, like Leela was saying, you know, this is the solar plexus, the seat of I amness. When we're feeling good, we are, look at me, boobs are out, I'm good. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not afraid to stand up, be strong, be seen. We don't need to cover ourselves. But when we are in that state of feeling like we need protection, that's where we cover, we close down, we hold here. It's very much that teenage time. And it is formed within us between the ages of 15 and 21. That's when that chakra is first formed. So it's a very good time to look at, in terms of what Leela was talking about, what was my relationship with my mother between the ages of 15 and 21? And then to take it one step further and remind yourself how old you are now. And if those aspects are still showing up, it is time that we shift it. Because, you know, as Guru Jagat would say, if you're over 30 and still having an issue about your parents, we need to make a change. And if you're over 40 and doing it, because where's the evolution? And that's not to judge anyone, because let's all be honest, we've all got, you know, mum stuff, dad stuff, all that stuff going on. It's all there. But what I'm saying is, we're at a stage where that stuff is just dragging us back. It's not allowing us to come forward. So it's about saying, I do actually still have this stuff going on, and this is the year it's going to stop. Does that make sense? And however that needs to happen for you. So you can do that with Kundalini Yoga, but it might be the year that you say, I'm going to go and see a good therapist who's going to help me chat through this stuff, as well as doing my Kundalini Yoga and whatever else it is that you want to do. But make it the year that you decide, I'm not going to let this be continually dragging me back. I'm going to learn or progress or heal what I need to heal so that I can move forward and help others too. Because that stuff is in the past. And we need to be able to move forward, not only so you can progress, but so your parents can too. It's always a healing behind as much as a healing forward. So it's powerful stuff. Great. Now, do you want to do meditation?
Yeah.
Great. Let's do it.
Thank you for taking the time to be with us on this podcast episode. These are sound bites and conversations about things we think are important to support the collective ascension towards more love, acceptance, hope, and harmony on the planet Earth. Together we can continue to support each other through conversations that need to be held. If you've enjoyed this episode, please do share it with your people. We would love it if you subscribe to our channel and even rate the podcast if you feel called to. You can also find us and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube and Spotify just by searching the 13 Moons Women's Temple.